On the morning of the 21st November 1980, a fire broke out in a restaurant in the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas, one of the most luxurious and largest casino resorts in the world at the time. Within 6 minutes, flames engulfed the casino floor, and choking deadly smoke had travelled into the hotel tower, where thousands of people were asleep. Over 80 people died, but this loss of life and the devastation caused by the fire could have been completely avoided had it not been for the greed of casino executives who refused to install even basic fire safety equipment in a complex that was filled with flammable material, making it a death trap and a disaster waiting to happen. Welcome to Tales of Tragedy. For this tale, we travel to the state of Nevada in the western United States, and our focus today is the city of Las Vegas, and in particular, the Las Vegas Strip, an approximately 4-mile portion of Las Vegas Boulevard in Clark County, which is home to some of the largest hotels and casinos in the world. Today, the Strip is usually considered to start at Mandalay Bay in the south and end at the Strat in the north. Between these two complexes are approximately 45 casinos and around 300 hotels. These are often one and the same, as all of the major resorts on the Strip have huge casinos and thousands of rooms. For example, the Wynn, which has over 2,700 rooms and 191,400 square feet of gaming space. It's an amazing place, my favourite destination in the world, with so many things to see and do. However, its sole purpose for being is to make money, and it does this successfully, with the main casinos making between $1 and $10 million a day. This is all accomplished using various tactics, such as there being no windows or clocks on the casino floor, so people lose track of time and gamble more. Even the design of the carpets has a purpose, with them appearing flashy looking and often having oddly placed stars, flowers, or other designs or symbols to keep people gaming and giving them a false sense of good luck. Today, there's a balance between making money and guest safety, with the hotels having some of the most advanced fire detection and suppression systems in the world. Cynically, this is likely to be because lawsuits, fines for failing to comply with fire codes, and loss of revenue from having to close a casino would eat into the bottom line. However, going back over 40 years to 1980, when this tragedy occurred, the casinos were a law unto themselves, solely focused on profit and easily able to skirt safety regulations. This tale shows the reluctance of corporate executives to part with even a fraction of their millions of dollars of profit, and more than 80 people would die as a result. During this year, the MGM Grand was in its 7th year of operation, having burst onto the scene in 1973. At the time of opening, it was the largest resort hotel in the world. It had nearly 2,100 guest rooms, 8 major restaurants, a casino, which was reported to be the world's biggest, a movie theatre, and 2 enormous showrooms that attracted some of the biggest names in show business at the time, including Dean Martin. Smoke detectors, fire alarms and sprinklers had not been required by law when the MGM Grand was built, and in 1980, county building codes required all those safety features, but they were not retroactive. However, there was pressure on the casino to make these changes, but MGM executives had petitioned the Clark County Building Department to be exempt from installing sprinklers in places that were occupied 24 hours a day. The rationale for this is that because employees would be present 24 hours a day, they would quickly notice any fire and extinguish it with handheld fire extinguishers. This was granted, and these executives must have been high-fiving, as it meant they didn't have to pay the $192,000 price tag to install complete sprinkler coverage across the casino. This was later called out by the press, who noted that the MGM Grand itself cost $106 million to build, but it was considered too expensive to spend less than 0.002% of this massive sum to ensure guest safety. There were also major design flaws in the casino, but I'll talk about these as the story progresses. However, our main focus is the Deli, a large restaurant which was located on the casino level. Initially, it was open 24 hours a day, but by 1980 was closed in the evenings. Despite this now not being open all day, no sprinkler system had been installed, and this would be a fatal mistake, which would allow a small fire to become a raging inferno. At approximately 7 a.m. on Friday the 21st November 1980, vibrations from an improperly installed pastry display case caused friction-induced damage to wiring in the wall, leading to the connections heating up and electricity arcing, which began a small fire. The fire had an almost inexhaustible supply of fuel, including stacks of napkins, wallpaper, finishes which appeared to be chrome or crystal, but which were actually plastic, ceiling tiles, which burned at a speed of 5 to 10 feet per second, and tile adhesive that was so flammable that it had been banned in another state. The smoke from the fire was noticed quickly, and MGM security were informed at 7:05 a.m, and the Clark County Fire Department was called at 7:17 a.m. However, by the time the security had been notified, the restaurant was completely ablaze, leading to a flashover which sent a wall of fire through the casino floor and blew out the front entrance onto the street. The fire moved at terrifying speed. To give context, the average man or woman runs at around 5 to 9 miles per hour. The flames of the casino travelled at between 10 to 13 miles an hour. Within 6 minutes, the entire casino area was ablaze. Almost everything in this area was flammable, including the gaming tables and the fixtures and fittings, which were made predominantly from a combination of wood and plastic. The burning of the latter released clouds of toxic smoke. Due to the fire beginning in the early morning, most of the 5,000 people on site that day were in their hotel rooms asleep, but there were at least 50 to 100 people on the casino floor, and 18 of them died. The official accident report states that 4 of these people died from burns and 14 from smoke inhalation. The fire didn't progress past the second floor, so how did almost 70 people die when they were nowhere near the flames? This is because the smoke from the fire rose up the hotel towers, filling the hallways and rooms with toxic fumes. Smoke dampers in the building's ventilation system that was supposed to control the spread of smoke had been installed improperly, and during the fire they failed to shut. In addition, the air conditioning units on the roof were not equipped with smoke detectors, and so continued to operate, recirculating the lethal smoke back into the building. A public address system used to notify guests in the complex of fire was incorrectly used, and the message was not broadcast to the hotel guests. In addition, the hotel's fire alarm system malfunctioned completely, so the first that people knew of what was going on was when they were waking up coughing, hearing screaming, and seeing fire trucks outside. Some people raced the elevators, but rather than going straight to the ground floor, they acted as normal. As many people across the floors had this same idea and had each pressed a call button, rather than being a quick route down to the ground level, those who made it into the elevators were stuck in a confined space which was filling with toxic fumes and which stopped at almost every floor. This made their escape even slower, and several people eventually died, trapped in the elevators. Some people who were trapped in their rooms broke open the windows to get breathable air, only for thick smoke from the fire, floors below them, to billow into the room, making their situation worse. Some others tried to escape down the stairwell, unaware that the door they went through to reach the stairs automatically locked behind them. This was a safety feature intended to stop unauthorized people from accessing the floors via the stairwell, but in an emergency, it meant that people who entered the stairwell were trapped, as they found the door on each floor they tried locked, and this area was soon filled with choking smoke. Only 2 exits were unlocked, on the first floor, which was in flames, and on the 26th floor. There was no signage or direction indicating which way the guests should go. Out of the 66 guests who died in the hotel towers themselves, 29 victims were found in their rooms, 22 in the hallways, 6 in the elevators, and 9 were found in the stairwell. One woman, who was trapped on the 17th floor, fell or jumped out of the building, dying on impact. At least 2 others jumped and survived, but with critical life-changing injuries. In total, 84 people died on the day of the fire. The 85th victim died weeks later in hospital in Houston, Texas. Around 600 people were injured, with more than half being admitted to hospital. Most were suffering from smoke inhalation, but as already stated, 2 had life-changing injuries from jumping from the building, whilst others received burns or were injured by falling debris. Only a fraction of the hotel guests perished in this tragedy, but this was primarily due to the actions of the emergency services and the military. 550 firefighters for 28 engine companies battled the blaze and went in again and again and again to pull out survivors. They scrabbled about in the dark, climbing over piles of stuff. Only when the smoke cleared, they realised these were bodies of the dead, dying. Again and again ladders were extended up to the windows to rescue hotel guests. The firefighters were rightly hailed as saviours after the event. They were not the only heroes. 9 helicopters from Nellis Air Force Base rescued 300 people from the roof, and nearby ironworkers used their scaffolding to help others out of their windows. In total, these combined efforts enabled 1,500 people who were trapped to be evacuated from the hotel, and the flames were extinguished at 8:30 AM, an hour and a half after the fire started. However, this was far too late for the 85 people who lost their lives. The National Fire Protection Association conducted an investigation into the MGM Grand fire, and their final report was published in 1982. 83 different building violations, design flaws, and installation errors were deemed to be responsible for the fire itself, the magnitude of the flames, and the toxic fumes spreading throughout the hotel, which led to the majority of the fatalities. It was determined by experts that had the deli been equipped with sprinklers, then the fire would have been extinguished almost immediately and caused minimal damage. Despite this, not a single person, not one, was ever prosecuted. 1,300 lawsuits were filed against MGM in the aftermath of the disaster, resulting in a total payout of $223 million. After the fire, the MGM Grand was rebuilt at a cost of $50 million in the space of just 8 months, and when it reopened in July 1981, it was touted as one of the safest hotels not only in Las Vegas, but in the world, due to numerous fire safety measures having been installed, including fire sprinklers and an automatic fire alarm system covering every square inch of the hotel and casino. As well as this, the air conditioning system was completely replaced to prevent smoke from entering hotel rooms, and large exhaust fans were installed with the capability to vent toxic fumes from the hotel in 10 minutes. The wiring throughout the hotel was also checked, and faulty connections replaced. As if to reinforce the potential death traps that the resorts on the Strip could become, on February 10, 1981, 8 guests died in a fire which rapidly spread through the Las Vegas Hilton's East Tower. In June 1981, a law was passed requiring about 33,000 structures throughout the state of Nevada to undertake retrofitting projects to ensure that all buildings over 55 feet tall had smoke detectors, fire alarms, exits, improved emergency lighting, and other safety improvements. There have been several fires since the MGM disaster, including in June 2015 when the 14th floor rooftop terrace of the Cosmopolitan was destroyed by a blaze, and in April 2017 when a fire broke out at the Bellagio. However, a combination of more efficient firefighting equipment and fire safety measures meant that neither resulted in loss of life. In fact, according to my research, it appears there hasn't been a single fatality linked to fire at the resorts on the Las Vegas Strip since 1981. Eventually, the original MGM Grand was sold, and today is now the Horseshoe Hotel and Casino. The current MGM Grand, which is located further south on the Strip, opened in December 1993. There are, to the best of my knowledge, no memorials to the 85 people who lost their lives. It's almost as if Vegas wanted to forget what was, at the time, the second worst hotel fire in US history as quickly as possible. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, feel free to check out my second channel called Evil Among Us, which focuses on true crime. I'll put a link in the description. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.